On July 2, 1937, the most famous woman on Earth vanished. No explosion, no wreckage, no confirmed crash site, just silence. Amelia Earhart was not an ordinary pilot. She was a global icon, a symbol of courage, progress, and the future of aviation. She was attempting something no woman and very few men had ever dared to do: fly around the world. But somewhere over the Pacific Ocean, Amelia Earhart disappeared, and nearly 90 years later, the truth remains buried beneath waves, rumors, and classified history. Did she crash and sink into the ocean? Did she survive as a castaway on a remote island? Was she captured by a foreign military? Or was the truth deliberately hidden? Tonight, we're reopening one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the modern age. Welcome to the History Mysteries. This is the disappearance of Amelia Earhart, and what really might have happened. To understand why Amelia Earhart's disappearance shocked the entire world, you have to understand who she was. In the 1930s, aviation was dangerous. Planes were unreliable. Navigation was primitive. Crashes were common. And women weren't supposed to fly. Amelia didn't just fly. She dominated the skies. In 1932, she became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. She survived icy winds, mechanical failures, and near-death conditions alone. She didn't just break records. She broke social boundaries. Amelia became a hero not just for pilots, but for an entire generation. And then she announced her most ambitious goal yet: a flight around the world, along the equator. It would be the longest circumnavigation attempt ever made. And it would push both pilot and aircraft to their absolute limits. History was watching. Amelia's aircraft was a Lockheed Electra 10E, heavily modified for long-distance flight. Extra fuel tanks were installed. Weight was carefully calculated. Every pound mattered. Flying with her was Fred Noonan, an elite navigator who had guided Pan Am's transoceanic routes. But navigation in 1937 was brutally unforgiving. No GPS, no satellites, just stars, sextants, charts, and instinct. Their flight plans stretched nearly 29,000 miles, crossing South America, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. By late June 1937, Amelia had completed nearly 80% of the journey. Then came the most dangerous leg of all. From New Guinea to Howland Island, a journey of 2,556 miles over empty ocean. Howland Island was barely visible from the air. Miss it, and there was nowhere else to land. On July 1, 1937, Amelia and Noonan departed La. They were tired. The plane was heavy. The weather was unpredictable. Radio communication was already unreliable. And there were concerns, serious ones. Fuel calculations were tight. Navigation depended on clear skies. Cloud cover threatened everything. Still, Amelia took off, because turning back meant failure. And Amelia Earhart did not turn back. As Amelia approached Howland Island, radio messages began breaking through. She reported cloud cover, difficulty seeing the island, fuel running dangerously low. Her final confirmed transmission stated, "We are on the line 157-337, running north and south." Those words haunt investigators to this day. It meant she was searching, flying back and forth, trying desperately to spot the island. Then silence. At 8:43 a.m., radio contact was lost. No mayday, no final cry for help, just static. The most famous voice in aviation vanished. The United States reacted immediately. President Franklin D. Roosevelt authorized an unprecedented search. 9 naval vessels, 66 aircraft, more than 250,000 square miles of ocean. It was the largest air-sea search in history. Day after day, nothing. No wreckage. No oil slicks. No debris field. After 16 days, the search ended. The official verdict: Amelia Earhart ran out of fuel and crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Case closed. But history is rarely that simple. The crash and sink theory remains the official explanation. It makes sense statistically, but there's a glaring problem. Not a single confirmed piece of Amelia's aircraft has ever been found. No engine, no wing fragments, no serial numbers. The Pacific preserves wreckage. So why did this plane leave no trace? What if Amelia didn't crash at sea? What if she landed abruptly on an island, Nikumaroro, a remote coral atoll 350 miles from Howland Island? In the 1940s, partial human remains were found there. Initially dismissed. Decades later, forensic analysis suggested the bones matched Amelia's height, gender, and ancestry. Artifacts were found nearby. A woman's shoe, 1930s cosmetics, a broken sextant case. And then there were the radio signals. Multiple listeners reported hearing distress calls after Amelia's disappearance. A submerged plane can't transmit, but a grounded plane can. If true, Amelia survived the crash, but not the aftermath. In 1937, the Pacific was a powder keg. Japan was expanding militarily. Some believe Amelia's flight doubled as covert reconnaissance. Eyewitness accounts from the Marshall Islands describe a foreign woman pilot captured by Japanese forces. Others claim she was interrogated and died in custody. No official documents confirm this, but intelligence files from that era remain classified, and governments have buried truths before. Nearly a century later, Amelia Earhart remains missing, not just physically, but historically. No final proof, no definitive answer, only questions. And perhaps that's why her story still grips us. Because Amelia didn't just disappear from the sky. She disappeared into history's unanswered shadows. So what really happened to Amelia Earhart? A tragic accident? A survival story lost to time? Or a secret history buried beneath politics and war? History hasn't answered yet, but the mystery remains alive. This is the History Mysteries, and some truths refuse to stay hidden. What do you think happened? Leave your theory below, and subscribe for more stories history still can't explain.